hope all's well around the world. You know, yesterday I witnessed something pretty pathetic. I watched the Kevin Samuels funeral, and things were going great. In the one that I was on, but there were other lives I didn't even know about. But what happened was the Wi-Fi was messing up, so I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can look around and find other lives. I go on a live on another platform, and there's this lady who has all this vitriol and disdain for Kevin Samuels, who went on and the stuff that she was saying. So I'm gonna let y'all see some of this stuff, and I'm gonna let you hear some of the stuff. I didn't record long enough. I was working, but I had just enough time in order to tune in and hear what I heard. And after I show you all some of these things, then that's when I'm gonna go in and we're gonna talk about it. Now let's play this pathetic piece of trash.
They don't have good internet. Maybe they're miserable, not us. We good over here. I'm cracking up at these comments. Have you seen them? And I'm streaming on 2 different channels. Okay? Somebody said that his body might look like beef jerky by now. Somebody said that they sprayed him with stolen perfume to keep the body fresh. Oh, the comments are lit. Ain't nobody over here miserable. We dying laughing. I got damn 500 people watching between 2 channels. It's hilarious. The comments alone, even with the buffering, the comments alone are worth being here. We scraped in a motherfucker. Okay? Really? Ain't nobody over here in no misery. We alive, nigga. What the fuck? We not dead. we not dead. Yeah, somebody in the comments said they sprayed him with stolen perfume to keep the fucking body fresh. Bitch, I died. We over here living. What the fuck we gotta be miserable for? We not dead. He probably got that. They probably had coke around his nostrils and couldn't wipe it off. Just close the casket and put that nigga in the ground. All right? Sometimes them Red Bulls will make your chest explode. They probably couldn't sew that chest cavity up the right way. Okay? They couldn't stitch up that chest cavity. So close the casket and go and have the fume.
That's one. We're going to come back and give another. So over here where it says Nosy Ho Live Gossip, that's the page that it was on where they did this live, and that's her speaking. So we're gonna look through these pictures and photos of what she was saying, what not only her but these people who follow her say. And I hope y'all can read this. And these people think all this stuff is funny, and it's not. It's pretty low down and pathetic for you to be talking about a man who was deceased. But I'll tell y'all why people like this exist. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen to them. I'm just gonna let these, pictures, so that y'all can read. If you need to pause the video, then do that to read all the comments. But I'm just kind of going through them enough time, giving y'all enough time to look through them, and just to let it marinate a little bit about the hatred that some people have in this world. So that's the last slide that I could take while I was working. But we're going to talk about this. We're going to go in right now. Now, let me talk about this. First of all, I became familiar with Kevin Samuels through just looking for conversations of different people that involve black, female, and male relationships. And I already had an understanding because I learned from Dr. Amos Wilson. So I wanted just a different perspective, just something different, kind of more worldly, not as revolutionary, but just the day-to-day mainstream type stuff. So, and this is also another reason why I was looking for it. There was a guy in South Carolina who was a quote unquote DJ, which really was a pimp, but he was prostituting all these women, and he had HIV. And I'll probably put it like a picture up or something like that, and whatever his name was, DJ, whatever it was, and he was giving people HIV. So around the same time, I discovered Kevin. But the thing about it was, once I started listening to Kevin, I was like, okay, cool, for like the first 3 or 4 episodes. But then there were people on there who had real issues, such as social anxiety, and me, I identify with that because I have it. So when he wasn't giving solutions about that, that's when, okay, it kind of made me tune out a little bit, because I'm like, okay, brother, at least help these people out, some kind of way, to help them with their social anxiety. But he didn't have the answers, and he just told him, I can't help you, or whatever else it was. And I felt like it was kind of brash, but it is what it is. He had his own style. I'm not gonna knock the brother for his hustle at all, period. And like he always said, book a session. These women are openly calling in and thinking he can fix whatever it is that's going on in his life. It don't work like that. Book the session. If you don't want it to be derogatory, if you want it to be more direct and nicer, then book the session. These people weren't booking the session. They were just straight up calling in. And guess what? They became the entertainment. And guess what it did? It increased his numbers. It just is what it is. It's business. That's what people didn't realize about it. So that's how I discovered Kevin Samuels. Now, moving forward, when it comes to this issue, I didn't always agree with Kevin Samuels on the things that he talked about. But what I don't like is a lot of these women have self-hatred for not only themselves, but for their community. That's what this situation with Kevin Samuels overall has showed me in totality about majority of these black women who have all this vitriol toward him. Not only do they have vitriol toward him, but they have vitriol toward me. Because there should be no way, shape, or form that a woman is so upset that she's basking in his death. It makes no sense whatsoever to me. That is a demon. And I'm gonna tell you exactly what happens to people like that. Now, I'm gonna come at y'all through from a perspective of a spiritual lens. This is Exodus chapter 32, and when Moses comes down, he's about to get the commandments, all this other stuff, and he sees all this foul stuff that's going on, right? And eventually gets to a point where he's like, look, y'all who want to do right by the Most High, you stand over here with me, and y'all who don't want to do right, then go back over here and stand on this side. So what happens? Moses basically slangs him. And I'm gonna scroll so y'all can see that. We're gonna slowly scroll these scriptures, and y'all can pause, read whatever you want to do. It's all here. This ain't no joke, man. I'm doing this for a reason, 'cause I'm gonna go precept upon precept. Precept upon precept, because y'all, you got some wicked people out here, man. So Moses slaying them people. He wasn't playing around. Killed them. And these are for y'all, some of y'all who are Bible thumpers, because you're Jesus supposedly done away with the Old Testament, right? So we're gonna go and see what Jesus says. Now in Matthew 10:34, verse 35 as well. Or should I say in chapter 10, verse 34 and 35, it says, "Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's foes shall be they of his own household." And I'm pointing that out to say this. Destruction's coming to y'all, man. Y'all need to know that. Destruction's coming to y'all. One thing we're seeing is a spiritual breakdown in people. You're seeing people who are coming out who are blatantly being evil. They have no respect for the deceased. They have no respect for themselves. They hate themselves. They talk down about you. They really don't. There's situations that happen in Buffalo. They really don't care about that. All they care about is making it to the next day to do whatever. They don't care about their communities. They just care about, living off the government, over-sexing themselves, having more children out of wedlock, being bummish. And that's something that destroys the integrity of your people, is by not thinking things through. One thing about Kevin Samuels, I didn't agree, like I said, with a lot of stuff he said, but let me tell you what he did. He showed a mirror up to these women's faces to let them see themselves and what they've done to themselves. And these women hated that, hated him for that. Because when you show a person how foul they've lived their life and how low down they've lived their life, they don't even want to look at it. They want to run from it, as opposed to going deep down inside and correcting those situations that they've caused for themselves. This is the trauma that we talk about all the time. I created this channel specifically to create solutions because I didn't see it on Kevin Samuels' page all the time. He created some solutions for some people, but if you really wanted solutions, you had to book a session with him. He told you constantly, book a session. But I created this channel specifically for creating solutions for the issues that people had. And even me, I didn't agree with all the stuff he said. But I knew there was solutions for some people. There was hope for people. And I'm gonna tell you something, Kevin wasn't a hater, because if you were willing to do the work, guess what? You would change. You remember when people would say, "Oh, those are just my haters. People hate on me all the time, blah blah blah," and you proved them wrong. The same thing that Kevin was showing you about yourself, you should have went and said, "You know what? I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna get this job. I'm gonna get this man. I'm gonna do better for myself, like you were supposed to." That was the whole point of why Kevin was telling you what to do. But you didn't want to face up to that because you got in your emotions. You can't take a little constructive criticism because you don't want to hear his tone. Ridiculousness. I'll give you a perfect example. My own father. I had an F in math. I needed that class to pass. High school, my senior year. My dad looked at me and said, "That nigga ain't gonna graduate." He looked at me and said that to my mother. That made my mother's heart drop. But my father didn't believe me. But you know what I said to myself? I said, "I'm gonna graduate." And I'm gonna tell you something. It taught me a valuable lesson about doing the work and what it takes to better myself and put myself in a better situation. I didn't know my potential back then. I went from a 49 average in math to a 104 because I put in the extra time to be precise about how the problems were being broken down. I studied my teachers, exactly how she set up the lessons, and I broke all that down. I spent time in tutoring. I did everything it took to graduate. I put in the work to have a final outcome. I didn't even know the day that I was going to graduate that I was going to even walk the stage until I walked the stage. And I graduated with my class. But the whole point was I let my Father's word fuel me for something that I already had the capability of doing, which was achieving. These women have the capability of achieving, but Kevin wants you to do better. Quit making the same mistakes. That's what he wanted. Men, the same thing. He judged us, you know what I'm saying, by what we were doing. And we took it. Of course, there's no profitability because men are supposed, men are tougher. They're going to take that stuff. We aren't as emotional. As a whole, we aren't as emotional. Women are emotional. It's very difficult for them to handle such constructive criticism. But you're supposed to let that constructive criticism fuel you to do better on something that you already have the capability to do in the first place. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to use that as a motivation. Did you do it? No. Because you're lazy and a lot of you do want handouts. You want somebody else to do it for you. You don't want to put in the work, whether it be in your job, in your personal relationships. You don't want to do none of it. And then you want to blame somebody else because you put yourself in that bad position. Nobody told you to lay down with that many men and have all those children, man. Nobody told you to cheat on your husband and think you can get another man over here because the grass was greener on the other side. You did that. Nobody told you to leave your husband because you weren't satisfied with your environment and it wasn't good enough for you, even though you had a child. You did that. But yet you want to be upset at a man who is now deceased because he corrected you and he showed you a mirror of yourself and the trauma that you hold within yourself. You didn't do the work, so you failed. But that doesn't mean you can't come back and not do it. It's Kevin's job to tell you, you know what, you're going to die alone. That's his job. Now it's your turn to do the work and say, you know what, you were wrong. You didn't want to do that. So now y'all are upset. But it's okay. You can go ahead and say what you want to. Talking about, he's dead. I'm alive. All that talk. That's okay. Because when your time comes, guess what? You're going to be doing the same thing. You're going to be begging God for help like other people who have died in this world. Your time will come. Don't worry. All of our times will come. But yours is going to be slow, agonizing. And you're going to be asking God if you can just live again. All this stuff that this world prepares for us, the future. Oh, it's coming. Oh, it's coming. Y'all don't even know the half. It's so coming. But I'm going to tell you something. Some of y'all need to be up out of here. After what I witnessed and seen for these past couple 2.5 weeks, some of y'all need to be up out of here. So get ready, because your time is coming too. And that's all I'm going to say for this episode of Watch Talking Act. But don't just watch Talking Act people. Create solutions, unlike the people who have ruined their own life that Kevin corrected. Watch Talking Act. I'm out.